Well, hello everyone, it's me, Marier Hawk, and I wanted to talk about something that might be a little bit more controversial today. It's about solidarity across faiths with the Palestinian people and why it is important to intersect your magic with your activism. And this is inspired by the Activist Witch here on YouTube. And I just wanted to get into this video, and with a disclaimer, of course, that it's not cool if you're anti Semitic in your activism or hateful or bigoted in your activism. Well, it's one thing if you criticize Israel's government and the IDF and America's government for being complicit in this genocide or like their genocidal statements and actions, like that's okay. But if you're going after the person's identity as, say, a Jewish person, that's not cool. But you should do your research into the voices that you amplify and don't promote alleged white supremacists like Jackson Hinkle or other neo-Nazi adjacent people who have co-opted the pro-Palestinian liberation and peace and freedom movement. Hate, be it Islamophobia or anti-Semitism, helps nobody. It just creates more division and more pain and suffering in this world, and hate should have zero place in your activism. Righteous anger is okay, but don't let it get into hate. I just thought it would be very important to give that disclaimer for those who are looking to intersect their magic with their activism. And I do have something written down on this piece of paper that I'm reading from about why it is important to intersect magic with your activism, and I will later get into things you should research and things you can do. So, first off, justice is shining a light onto the darker aspects of the self, and finding a healthy way to deal with their shadow and integrate it is important so our problems don't grow so big that they overwhelm us and or the universe busts down our door and forces us to recognize and heal our shadow side. Doing this on a larger scale for the collective and by extension the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank and surrounding countries is imperative. We need to use our energies, both magical and mundane, to call attention to and stop this genocide before it is too late, and to deal with the extreme anti-Palestinian, pro-Zionist, and colonial power mindsets and behaviors before things are too late. Look into Zionist groups, especially when it comes to that topic. That it's an interesting look, but to deal with this before it is too late is important. We need to do the work and use our spirituality and our activism, both online and in person, to help the Palestinians be free from apartheid, illegal occupation, oppression, genocide, and so forth and so on. Because this is kind of like shadow work for the collective. Like shadow work, global liberation and healing from the shadowy aspects of the world like apartheid, colonialism, genocide, slavery like in the Congo, what's going on there, and things like starvation and like depriving people of food and water and power. It's imperative to heal and like address those shadowy aspects of life for positive change for the collective. We need to address these parts of life we don't want to address. It may be not pretty, it might be ugly, but it needs to be done. Like shadow work. Accountability, liberation, safety, and justice needs to happen for all oppressed peoples. We need peace and healing for the collective, and this cannot be done if we do not do this shadow work, not only for ourselves, but for the collective, to heal the collective shadow. Yes, it's a big task, but so is healing yourself, and you managed to try to do that and try to focus on that, I hope. Like, to some degree, you are working on that. So if we can work on it for ourselves, we can work on it together for the collective, and that is very important. Now, some things to research into for your activism for Palestinian people would be things like the Nakba and the history of the Nakba, what events led to it and what happened during, and many Palestinian people say it never really ended, so listen to Palestinian stories, read books like Rashid Khalidi's The 100-Year War on Palestine, which is recommended by the Activist Witch here on YouTube, actually. Sorry about that, my thing fell. Also look into things like the Srebrenica massacre and the subsequent UNGA 3743 in 1982 that said that Palestinians have a right to liberation from colonial domination, apartheid, and all foreign occupation by all available means, including armed struggle. Also look into the formation of groups like Hamas, born out of people who lost their families and livelihoods and everything they knew to Israeli military brutality and bombing and like massacres like Srebrenica, and how the current genocide that is going on in Gaza and the ethnic cleansing also in the West Bank will create more extremists. It will. When people lose everything, they become more quote-unquote extreme. And the US and Israel are using this as justification for ethnic cleansing. They're banking on creating more Hamas or Hamas like people so that they can continue this ethnic cleansing and genocide, and that's just not okay. And we need to do our research and amplify Palestinian voices and to advocate for those who do not have a voice, because it is imperative that we do this so that there is justice and that this genocide stops. Likewise, sorry about that. My phone fell over once again, and I'm about had it with it and about to chuck it, but that's not the point of this video. But you need to do a magical and mundane action, and by magical, it could include things like prayer, candles, petitions, and raising energies from protests. And by mundane action, boycott, divest, sanction, protest, call and email reps in the White House if you're in the U.S., or your government officials if you live elsewhere. Put pressure on them for a ceasefire. Those are some things that you can do in addition to amplifying Palestinian voices like Bisan, like Motaz, and the like, to raise awareness for what is happening to Palestinian people. I think it's important that we really support those who are in need. And again, hate has no place in your should have no place in your activism, but advocating for a more free, liberated, safe world for not only Palestinians but for everyone is important. And having accountability and justice for those who have lost their lives. My phone fell again, but justice for those who have lost their lives, and accountability for the countries who have been complicit in this genocide, and for Israel's role as well in enacting this genocide is imperative for global and collective healing, justice, and accountability. Because what's the point of international law if it's never going to be beholden to by the US and Israel and other major Western powers? Like, there should be no exceptionalism in that regard. We should all be beholden to those laws if we're gonna have them. Also, yes, free Palestine. I hope this video is okay. I'm going to end it short here. I'm sorry if this was hard to listen to. My phone holder kept falling over, and I'm about ready to chuck it and break it into a million pieces. So, I just wanted to get that out there. Again, free Palestine, and I hope for a ceasefire. I'm going to hopefully remember to put in the activist switch in a link, and also show you the UNGA 37 out of 43, I believe it is. Yes. So, yeah. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful time in your activism, and free Palestine again, and thank you for coming along with me on this part of my journey.